Hey guys, my name is John, and this tutorial is on the basic uses of InDesign and how to create a flyer. If you've never used InDesign before, no problem at all. Everything that we're going to do here today is right at your level, whether you have zero experience at all or you have a lot of experience. So let's just get into it. This is going to be the flyer that we're going to create. It's just a basic flyer. You can create any kind of thing you want. I'm just going to go over all the different elements, and to create this you'll use a lot of different functions that will then help you to create your own design that you want to create. So first things first, what you want to do is you want to open up InDesign. So there we go. I've already got it open. If yours is still loading, what you'll want to do, it's gonna pull up a dialog box. If you already have it open, you're going to go up to File, New, and hit Document up here. So this dialog box should be open for you. First you'll want to name it. I'll name mine example flyer. You can name yours whatever you'd like. It's probably going to default to Picas. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Picas? I don't know. Anyways, you don't want it. You'll want to change it to inches since this is going to be a print. We're going to want this at 8.5, which is a normal size sheet of paper, by 11. There we go. If you have facing pages checked, you're going to want to uncheck that. I'm not going to go into what that is, but for a flyer, you want it unchecked. Now, if you're going to have it printed, this is going to be a much larger discussion. I don't think I'm going to go into it, but for this design, we're not going to add bleeds. If you do know what they are, go ahead and add them. If you don't worry about it. That's going to be a different tutorial. So let's just go ahead and hit create. So here we go. All right, first things first. You're going to default on the selection tool over here, and that hotkey is going to be V. Now, what you're looking at here, these purple lines, these are your margins. This is specifically just to allow you to get a sense of how like to line things up better. These are a fantastic tool. I would live and breathe by them. They will really help make your design a lot cleaner. So the first thing first, let's go back to look to see how this is. First things first, what we're going to do, you'll notice my margins on here are just a little bit bigger. So what you'll want to do, we're going to go up here to Layout under Margins and Columns. We're going to just make this a little bigger. If your preview's not checked, go ahead and hit Preview. That way you can see the lines changing. We're probably going to do it like, this is probably good, 0.625. That should be good. All right. Now what you'll want to do is this is how you're going to insert a photo. So you're going to locate your desktop. You're going to find the photo that you want. I've got mine right here on the desktop. You're going to click and drag. Now you're going to click once, and that'll get you to right here. You're going to have this little thumbnail. All you got to do from here, if you click once, it's going to blow it up really big, which is fine. But honestly, the way I like to do it is I like to click and drag and fit it to my paper. So here I go. I've got it. Now, if you were like me the first time and you accidentally made it too big and you don't know how to go back, just go ahead and hit Command Z. Command Z will always undo your actions. And you can go back all the way to the start with Command Z. It is a fantastic tool. Learn that hotkey by heart, because you will use it often and it will save you a lot of time. I'm not even going to show you in the menu where to go where to undo. Just learn the hotkey. All right. So the way this works, photos can be a little confusing at first, and this will if you understand this concept, it's really going to help you in the future. So you'll notice right now there is a blue box, right? Blue box, think of it like a picture frame. You have the frame and then you have the photo that's behind it. A photo cannot extend outside the frame. Right now this blue is the frame, right? If you were to double click into this or hit this button right here, so we're going to double click, now it's a red frame. Now that red frame is the exact same size as the blue frame currently. However, let's say I was to move this on accident, which is probably going to happen to you. It happens to everybody, but it's not a big deal. Now if I click off and I start moving this around, it's like all my photos gone. Now yes, you could undo, but that's totally fine. If you ever want to get it to be back to full width of your frame, go up here to this little guy, fill frame proportionally. Just go ahead and click that. There you go. So now what we want to do is we want to position the frame where we want the photo to be. Don't worry about this red area right now. Don't worry about the actual photo, worry about the frame. And if you're ever inside and you need to go back to the blue one, you can either double click, or if you're on the red one again, you can just click off into space over here as long as you're on the selection tool. And then it'll go back to your blue frame. So what we'll do is we'll want to click and hold, and we're gonna just get this over to the sides. Now what you want to do is you want to grab this side one, kind of bring it in. There we go. And then we'll want to align this with the top. There we go. Don't click inside to move it. What I'm doing is I'm clicking these little squares down here that allow you to move it. Now don't worry about it not being the right size, because you remember in the original he's got a lot more of his body in the photo, so don't worry about that. Alright, so I think we want this to come down just a little more. There we go. Alright, looking good. Now, as I stated before, we'll want to click this. Okay, that's looking good. But I still want it to be filled a little more. Now this one's important. You never ever want to stretch a photo. That is a huge no in design world. Never do it. Does not look good. So the way we make this bigger without stretching it, we're going to double click inside here, excuse me. Now we got this red line selected. Now this is your actual photo. So what you want to do is you want to hold shift and click and drag from the bottom corner, and we want to size it just to that one button there. There we go. That's looking a lot better. And then we'll let go. Now, you might end up stretching it, doing it something like this or like this. If you do that, just hit undo until you get it back to where you want it. Try it again, and it's shift, click, and drag if you're on the red frame that's been selected. So that is the basics on how you are going to add and insert a photo. Now let's move on to the type. So the type tool, the hotkey is going to be T. So there we go, it's selected up here. Now you'll notice I've got all these extra boxes all around me, all these little windows. These are totally customizable. You can set them up however you want. If you're brand new to InDesign, they might not mean a whole lot to you. They will be lifesavers in the future. What you'll want to do if you want to at least get this character box up, which I use quite a lot, you want to go up to Window, and it's under Character or Type. There we go. Type and then Character. See, I was right. There we go. And then you'll see it'll probably pop up over here for you. What you can do is you can click and drag it, and then you can just kind of move it wherever you want, and they'll kind of snap. So you can play around with that. That's a lot of fun. As you get more comfortable with InDesign, you'll kind of set up your desktop how you want. But mine are over here. Anyway, so what you're going to do is you click your type tool here. You want to click and drag to create a text box. If you don't click and drag, you just click, nothing's going to happen. So you can be clicking all day, no luck. All right, so click and drag. You want to type in your title. There we go. This is a terrible font, so we're not going to use it. I'm going to go up to my type tool up here, and I am just going to use something super basic. I'm going to use Helvetica Neue. Yes, it's called Neue, not new. Neue. Where's the bold? There we go. Feel free to use and experiment with fonts. I highly recommend, especially if you're starting out, to never use more than 2 different types of fonts. And typically when you do, you want to use one that's like sans serif and one that's serif, and that's with like the little extra feet on them or whatever. This one would be sans serif, so it has no little extra feet. But we won't go into that today. So here we are. We're going to make this bigger. So the way you do that, if you manage to click out on accident, just double click into your little box there. There you go. Highlight it. So click and drag. We're going to go up here to this little button. It's also up here. We're just going to increase that size till we get to the size that we want. And I'm thinking about like that. Okay? So now to click off, you do not click off out into the distance. What you do to click off is you go back to your selection tool, click that, then click off, and there you go. Now, We could click into here and hit the enter button. That way we have it stacked the way we want, but let's not do that. And the reasoning for that, you'll get into it later. It's just a better practice not to immediately. Sometimes if you can just change the size of your box here and just bring it over. There we go. Now, that's now cut off. So we'll want to bring it in a little more. There we go. It's looking good. What we'll do is then we'll just click and drag, move that to where we want. We'll line it up with our margins. There we are. And what we'll want to do is we'll double click into the little box here, reselect your text, and change it to white. Now remember, you got to click back off, and to do that you go back up to your selection tool, click out. Now you say you want to look at this photo as if it was going to be printed, because there's not going to be all these blue lines, purple lines, any of that. So the way to do that, once you've deselected everything, right, you're on your selection tool, go ahead and hit W. That's going to be your print preview. W. I always shift back to W, the print preview view, all the time, just to kind of check and see what things are going to look like. But W is also a great view to make sure everything's aligned. It's fantastic. Really get to know that W hotkey. All right, that concludes this part. So I'm going to stop right there, and we're going to finish the thing up in the second part.